My sister stole my identity when we were 19. When I found out, she already had a credit history, a marriage, and a child under my name. Before we get started, subscribe to my channel, it would be really nice. I was 19 when I first got a letter from a debt collection agency. Not in my email. Not on social media. On paper. In my mailbox. The address is mine. The name is mine. James Elliott Harvey. The house number is 14B. The street is Ashfield Road, Nottingham. But the content of the letter was impossible. Asterisk, we inform you that you have a debt of £27,340 in your name. The loan was issued by Northern Trust UK in February 2022. The repayment period has expired. We demand immediate repayment or legal action. Asterisk, I read it 3 times. Then again. Then threw it in the trash. I thought a mistake. Or a scam. Or someone is joking. But the next week a second letter arrived. From a different company. The same debt. The same details. The same amount. I started to get nervous. I called the bank. My name is James Harvey. I received a letter about a loan that I never took out. Confirm your details, the operator said. I gave my date of birth, address, social security number. Yes, he said. We have a loan in your name. Issued on February 15, 2022. Purpose, personal loan, £15,000. Then there were additional statements, £12,000 for a car. I didn't take anything, I said. Then we recommend contacting the police. This is a case of identity theft. I froze. Identity theft. Words I heard on the news. But I never thought they would apply to me. I went to the police. Told everything. The officer wrote it down, opened a case. We'll check, he said. But the first thing you should do is check if anyone close to you had access to your documents. I thought about my parents. About friends. About colleagues. And then it occurred to me. Emma. My sister. A year younger. The one who was always different. Not like me. Not like my family. She wore black, listened to gothic music, wrote poems about death. My parents said, asterisk, she's just looking for herself. Asterisk. But in reality they were afraid of her. And I was the one who does everything right. We weren't close. But we had one thing. The same documents. The same last name. Same middle name. Same place of birth, Birmingham. And when we were younger, my parents often mixed up our papers. Passports. Insurance. School uniforms. Take yours if you find it, that's all. I called my mother. Do you know where Emma is? In Glasgow. Lives with a husband. As a child. Husband? Child? Yes. Got married last year. Didn't you know? No. I didn't know. Nobody told me. No message. No photo. No, congratulations, you have a new niece. I found her address. I looked online. And I found something that broke me. There was an announcement on the Marriage Registry UK website. Asterisk, James Elliott Harvey and Daniel Price were married on August 12, 2022 in Edinburgh. Asterisk. I slumped into a chair. That was my name. My PIN. My date of birth. But I'd never been married. I didn't even know who Daniel Price was. I opened another page, birth registration. And there it was. Asterisk Lily Rose Price, born April 3, 2023. Father James Elliott Harvey. Asterisk. I had a child. Under my name. And I didn't even know it existed. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there. And I thought, who am I now? If all these documents are under my name. If people think I've taken out loans, bought cars, gotten married, had a child. Am I even myself? I opened my profile on Credit Check UK. And I saw. Loan, £15,000, active. Car loan, £12,340, overdue. Mortgage on a flat in Edinburgh, £98,000, open. Payment history, missing. My photo is not mine. But the signature is the same as the one I had at university. I understood. This is not a mistake. This is on purpose. Someone lived past me. Someone created a life, on my documents. And now this life is destroying mine. I called the police. I have evidence. I need help. We will open an investigation, they said. But it will take time. Time is something I did not have. Because the next day I was fired from work. We checked your credit history, said the manager. And we cannot have an employee with such debt. But it is not me. I shouted. Then prove it. For now you are fired. I went outside. I stood in the rain. And for the first time in years I thought, maybe it's better to be nobody than what they made me to be. But then I remembered the child. Lily Rose. Her name was in the database. She existed. And she had a father, with my name. And in that moment I made a decision. I won't stop. No matter how long it takes. No matter how many times I'm turned down. I know the truth. I will find it. I will find it. I went to Glasgow. Not to blame, but to understand why my sister chose to become her, and what was left of me after I was kidnapped. I arrived in Glasgow in January. The city was gray, frosted as if it had frozen with me. The address I found led to an old house in Maryhill. For stories, peeling paint, windows with film instead of panes. I went up to the 3rd floor. I rang the doorbell. She answered the door. Emma, my sister. The one who used to paint black nail polish on the walls of her room. Who screamed when her parents said, "Why can't you be like James?" Who ran away for the first time at 16. Came back 2 weeks later bruised. But no one asked what had happened. She had changed. There were shadows under her eyes. Her hair was cropped short. Her clothes were plain as if she was trying to be inconspicuous. But the look is the same. Bitter. Tired. Like a person who has lost herself a long time ago. "Hello," she said. "What are you doing here?" "You used my name," I said. "My documents." "What are you talking about?" I showed her the letters. Then the phone screen with the credit history. With marriage. With a child. With a mortgage. She didn't give away. Only sighed. Then she said, "Come in. Just be quiet. The child is sleeping." The apartment was small. 1 room, a kitchen in the corner, a bathroom with a rusty faucet. On the wall, a photo of a baby. Lily Rose. Her eyes are blue. Her smile is the first in her life. And under the photo, written in chalk, "You are my everything." "It's not me," I said. "It's you." "Yes," she said. "I used your name." "Why?" She sat up. She looked at the baby in the cradle. Then at me. "Do you remember when I was 17? "Yes." "When I ran away for the first time?" "Yes." "Do you remember what my parents said when I came back with bruises?" "They said you deserve it." "Yes." "You've always been a problem. Why do you do this?" I couldn't take it anymore. I ran away again. Lived on the streets. Then I found a boyfriend. Daniel. He was good. Not like the others. But he couldn't get a place to live. He didn't have any papers. And neither did I. They kicked me out. I lost my passport. No chance. I kept quiet. Because I knew the story. But I never looked at it from her perspective. And then I remembered, she continued. We had the same documents. I found an old copy of your passport. You never hid it. And I started. First just to get a place to live. Then to get benefits. Then so that Daniel could work. And when I got pregnant I couldn't stop. I couldn't give birth to a child under the name of a woman without documents. She would be taken away. So I made you the father. You are reliable. You are the one who is trusted. And I am nobody. I sat there. Not knowing what to say. Not knowing if she was a victim. Or a criminal. Or just a person who chose the last path to survive. And Daniel? I asked. Did he know? Yes. But he couldn't stop. He loves Lily. He loves me. But he was in trouble too. And now we live. But I know it's not forever. I waited for you to find the truth. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because you would never understand. You always had everything. You were loved. You were believed. You have no idea what it's like to be unwanted. I didn't answer. Because she was right. I never knew what it was like to be unwanted. I was praised. I was held up as a role model. And she was a stain on the family's reputation. I filed a police report, I said. I know, she answered. I waited. And what now? You can ruin everything. My life. Her life. Lily will lose her father. She could be taken away. I will become a criminal. But, if you want me to, I will not resist. I looked at the child. She woke up. She looked at me. She smiled. As if she saw someone close to me in me. And at that moment I understood. This is not just about me. This is not just about documents. This is about life that already exists. About a child who is not guilty of anything. About a woman who did the impossible to save her family. I don't know what I will do, I said. But I don't want to destroy Lily. Thank you, she said quietly. But I don't forgive. I don't expect forgiveness. I'm waiting for the truth. I went. But not to the police. But to a lawyer. I found an identity theft specialist. And I asked, can this be fixed without destroying the child's life? He looked at me. It's difficult. But there is a way. We can prove that it was theft. That you are a victim. But we can't just delete the marriage or the parentage if the child thinks you are the father. That will affect her. That can be traumatic. I thought about Lily again. About her smile. About the way she looked at me. As a relative. And I made a decision. I'm not going to destroy her world. But I'm going to rebuild mine. I'm going to prove that it wasn't me, but I won't do it at the cost of her life. So I started to fight. Not against Emmy. But against the system that creates people like her. And people like me. Those who are left without a choice. Without support. Without a voice. And I already know, it will be a long time. But I'm not stopping. I found a lawyer, Mr. Finch, in Leeds. He specialized in identity theft. He dealt with people who were used for fraud, sham marriages, credit schemes. This is serious, he said when I showed him all the documents. They didn't just use your name. They built a life on it. But how is that possible? I asked. How can someone get a marriage, a mortgage, a child, under someone else's name? Because the system doesn't check personality. It checks data. If the PIN, date of birth, address, match, the system accepts it as true. And the photo? The signature? The photo can be faked. The signature can be copied. And if the person looks the same, no one checks the depth. Especially if everything is done right. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It turns out that being yourself is not guaranteed. It has to be proved. Mr. Finch said about the task. But he warned. It will take months. Maybe years. What if I can't work? As long as your name is on the database as a debtor, you won't be hired for many jobs. What if I tell the truth? Most employers don't listen. They see the debt and that's it. I went back to Nottingham. I applied to be reinstated at college. I was rejected. We can't accept students with a criminal record. They said. I don't have a criminal record. But there is a note of suspicion of fraud. That's a mistake. Then prove it officially. For now you can't study. I lost my job. I lost my studies. I lost my faith in the system. But I didn't lose goals. I started collecting evidence. Photos from the university where I was at the time. I got married in Edinburgh. Testimony from colleagues. Bank statements. Even GPS data from my phone. Everything that could prove I wasn't there. But the hardest thing was what I found next. I applied to the registry office for a copy of my marriage. 3 weeks later I received the document. And there was a photo. Not from the official register. But from a personal album, attached as an attachment. It was me. But it wasn't me. It was Emma. In my old shirt. With short hair. With a made-up male image. Next to me was Daniel. He was hugging me. They are standing outside the registry office. And behind them is Lily, still a baby. She is a few months old. I looked at this photo. And I couldn't figure out. Is this a scam? Is this a family? Is this a woman who decided to become a man to save her childhood from a system that never accepted her? I called Mr. Finch. I have a photo. It's not me. It's my sister. What does she look like as a man? Very convincing. Then it's not just a name theft. It's a transformation. And that makes it even more complicated. Why? Because if she didn't officially change her gender, but lived as a man, the state might consider it fraud. But if she is transgender, it's a human rights issue. But she never talked about it. Maybe she couldn't. She didn't have the support. She didn't have access. And now we have to be careful. If we annul the marriage, Lily will lose one of her parents. If we annul the paternity, she will become a fatherless child. And that could affect her future, education, citizenship, rights. I sat down. And I realized, I'm not just fighting for my name. I'm fighting for the truth that can destroy someone else's life. And I don't know if I have the right to do that. I went back to Glasgow. I saw Emma. I saw the photo. I said. She fell silent. Then she said, I didn't want to tell you. Why? Because I was afraid you would say, asterisk, that's worse. Asterisk. It's not worse, asterisk, I said. That explains a lot. I couldn't be myself. I know. I didn't want to lie. But it was the only chance to have a family. And you decided to become me? I decided to have a life. And a name was the least of it. I looked at Lily. She was sitting in her cradle, holding a small toy in her hand, a dragon figurine. The same one I bought her for her first holiday when I didn't know who she was. I don't want to destroy her world, I said. But I can't live with debts I didn't take on. I understand. So I'll find a way. How? I'll file to restore my name. I'll prove that it was theft. But I won't annul paternity. Why? Because she considers me the father. And if I suddenly cease to exist, it will be a trauma. But that's not true. But that's her truth. And I have no right to destroy her. So what are you going to do? I'll fix my life. But I won't destroy yours. Just stop using my name. No more loans. No paperwork. No new consequences. She nodded. Thank you. And, if you ever want to talk, I'll listen. Not now. When you're ready. I left. And for the first time in months I felt, I'm not an enemy. I'm a brother. And that's perhaps more important than just being right. Now I'm fighting. Not against her. But for myself. To restore my name. My reputation. My life. But I know, sometimes the truth is not just who's to blame. Sometimes the truth is a choice between what's legal and what's humane. And I chose humanity. Not because she deserves me, but because I don't want to be the one who destroys a child. The process of restoring my name took 9 months. 9 months of official inquiries, testimony, certificates, court hearings. I submitted all the evidence. Photos from university on the days when I took out a loan. GPS data from the phone. Testimony from colleagues that I was at work. Bank statements where there were no traces of expenses. An examination of the signature that proved it was not my hand. And even an audio recording from a coffee shop where I spoke at the same time as I signed documents in Edinburgh. Mr. Finch was right. The system does not like to change what is already recorded. Every step was taken against resistance. Every paper wall, as if it had been built specifically to protect a mistake. But we continued. 6 months later I was summoned to a hearing at the Personal Data Court in Manchester. This wasn't a criminal hearing. This was a civil confession. I had to prove that I was a victim of identity theft. That I hadn't taken out loans. That I hadn't married. That I wasn't a father. I stood before a panel. 5 people in formal suits. Their gazes were cold, neutral. I told them everything. About Emma. About her life. About Lily. About how the system doesn't give a chance to those who are already outside the norm. And how that leads to desperate decisions. Do you understand, one of the panel members said, that you are asking us to annul the official marriage and paternity? Yes, I replied. But I am not demanding the annulment of paternity. I understand that it will affect the child. I just want my name removed from the loans, mortgages, and all financial obligations. But will you remain the father on the documents? Yes. If it can't be changed without harming the child, I accept it. But I don't want to pay for a car I didn't own or an apartment I didn't live in. They deliberated for 20 minutes. Then they announced the decision. We recognize that James Elliott Harvey was a victim of identity theft. All financial obligations issued after February 2022 are declared invalid. Loans, mortgages, car loans, written off. Your name is removed from the debtor's database. Officially, you have no debts. I didn't cry. I just exhaled. As if after a long dive. As if after you were finally seen. But then they added, however, regarding marriage and paternity, we do not have the authority to cancel these records without the participation of both parties or evidence of fraud for the purpose of obtaining citizenship or welfare. Since the child was born in wedlock and the paternity is officially registered, we cannot remove your name from the parental register without a court order, which could traumatize the child. We recommend leaving it as is, with a note that you are not the biological father, but are officially recognized. I nodded. It was a partial victory. But it came at a high price. I went back to Nottingham. I applied to college. This time I was accepted. We have official confirmation, they said. You are excused. I sat down for my first graphic design class. The same one I had applied for a year ago. Now I could sit back and not be afraid of being kicked out. But even after winning, the shadow remained. When I applied for jobs, they asked me, why did you lose a year? Identity theft. But you're justified? Yes. And why did that happen? Because someone used my name. And who? My sister. Okay. I saw their looks. Not disdain, but doubt. As if I was still hiding something. As if the truth was too incredible to be true. 3 months later I found a job, in a small design studio in Sheffield. Not as a permanent employee. As a freelancer. For £15 an hour. But that was the beginning. I started building a portfolio. Created a website. Posted my work. And one day I got a message. Asterisk, I read your story. It saved me. I was also a victim of identity theft. And I thought I would never recover. Thank you for showing me that it is possible. Asterisk, I read it and cried. Not from pain. From relief. From the fact that my struggle is not in vain. That someone sees me not as a victim, but as an example. I haven't forgiven Emma. Not yet. But I'm starting to understand. Not to justify, but to understand. That when a person is thrown out, when they are not heard, when they become unwanted, they look for any way to survive. Even if that way is through the life of another person. I wrote her a letter. Not emotional. Not accusatory. Simply. I didn't destroy your life. I left you with what you created. Because the child is not guilty. But I'm not your cover anymore. If you ever want to talk, I'll listen. Not as a judge. But as a brother. She didn't answer. But a month later I saw a photo on social media. Lily. With a new toy. And the caption, with thanks to the one who gave us a chance. I don't know if she met me. But I believe she did. And in that moment I realized, victory is not only when you are vindicated. Victory is when you do not become like those who broke you. When you choose humanity over revenge. When you say, it was not me. And begin to build who you really are. Today I'm 23. I live in Leeds. I work for an identity protection organization called True Name UK. Not for fame. Not for money. But because I know. Everyone who loses themselves in the system deserves a chance to come back. My story was featured on BBC North. Then on the podcast Stolen Identities. People write, you gave me hope. But most importantly, I don't just tell stories. I help. At True Name, we advise those who have been framed, kidnapped, deceived. We help collect evidence, file claims, fight bureaucracy. Sometimes we just listen. Because the worst thing about identity theft is not the debts. But the feeling that you are no longer there. A guy named Luke came to me once. He was 19 years old. His parents used his name to get loans. When he found out, he was kicked out. I don't know who I am now, he said. Everyone thought I was a liar. I heard that too, I replied. But you're not who you were made out to be. Who am I? The one who came here. The one who didn't give up. And that's enough. We helped him. 6 months later, he was working as a barista. He was studying. And one day he wrote to me. I believe in myself again. Thank you for not letting me disappear. I'm not a hero. I'm just the one who walked this path first. And now he holds the door open. Every day I look at my name on the official documents. James Elliot Harvey. Now debt-free. Without a mark. With a story I can tell without fear. But one place my name remains. On Lily Rose Price's birth certificate. I am her father. Officially. Even though I've never held her in my arms like a father. Even though she doesn't even know who I am. Sometimes I think about her. How she's growing. How she looks at the world. Does she ask where her father is? Does she hear that he's disappeared? Does she hear lies? I can't erase my name from her life. But I can make it not a curse. So I wrote a letter. Not to her. But to Emma. I won't judge. I won't show up. But if you ever decide to tell Lily the truth, I will help. Not as a father. But as someone who knows what it's like to be framed. If she asks, I will say, your mother struggled. She made mistakes. But she loved you. And that's enough to start over. She didn't answer. But 2 months later I got a text from her. She asked. I told part of the truth. That her biological father wasn't you. That you were the one who gave us a chance to stay together. That you didn't destroy us. And she said, then he's good. I read that and sat down. And I just stared out the window for a long time. Because in that moment I realized. I didn't just survive. I became part of something bigger. Not a family. Not a marriage. Not parenthood. But choices. Choices not to destroy. Choices to help. Choices to be better, even when you've been betrayed. Mom calls sometimes. I heard you were okay, she says. Yes, I say. You're okay now. What about Emma? I don't know. But I don't want to judge her. I wasn't protecting her, Mom said. I was afraid. What about now? Now I want to know who you both are. This isn't forgiveness. This is a beginning. Small. Trembling. But there is. I don't know if I'll ever see Emma again. Whether I'll hug Lily. Whether I'll say sister without pain. Maybe not. But I know. I'm not who I was made to be. I'm not who I was thought to be. I am not who I was written to be. I am a survivor. The one who didn't break. The one who opened doors for others. And when I look at myself in the mirror, I don't see a victim. I see a person who has been through hell and come out of it, not broken, but reborn. So if you're reading this and your identity has been stolen, or you've been betrayed, or you've lost yourself in the system, remember, you are not who you were made to be. You are a survivor. And this is your beginning. I don't want to be a hero. I just want someone who's standing in the rain right now like I was then, to hear. You will survive. And this will be your beginning.